My candle's about to be out, which means Christmas is soon. Actually, this is going to be posted after Christmas on the 28th. Nope, this is going to be posted on the 30th. Happy New Year! Good morning, everyone. Hello, everyone. Whatever it is, everyone. My name's Stonesy Boy, and welcome back to Reading with Stonesy. Today, we are reading Minecraft: The Island, chapter 21 to 22, pages 244 to 266. I am a speedball. I'm a ball of speed. That's what I am today. So today's our final episode of the book. It's really sad. That's why I'm being such a speedball today. Uh, uh, Sad about it, cause but it's also New Year's. Happy New Year's, everyone. Um, it's been a fun year of reading. I mean, we've read a lot of good books, so yeah. But yeah, without further ado, let's begin. Chapter 21. Knowledge, like a seed, needs the right time to bloom. How do I survive? I asked the darkness. What's my next move? Trapped, cornered, alone. Well, almost. Gah, moaned a zombie on the other side of the wall, completing my deja vu. Same as it ever was, I answered. I just like my first night. And then nothing happened I would never be predicted. I smiled. My first night, I repeated, setting down a comforting torch. I would look at what I compared to what I have now. Gah, snarled the ghoul. Two, actually, as I could hear a second one approaching. No, not in my pack, I laughed, wishing I could point to my head. Up here, all those priceless lessons in my brain. All the hard-won experience. You can't take that away. Nobody can. This isn't the same as my first night because I'm not the same person. Gah, growled the beast. We'll talk later, I said. Turning back to the wall. I gotta get to work. I took a deep breath and visualized the way of the cube. Plan, prepare, prioritize, practice, patience, preserve. Right now I had to prioritize my needs, and need number one is food. The spider's sting was ripped every last calorie out of me. My head swam, my breath stank, and those tiny telling shivers were back. Starvation. Been a long time, I thought, searching my belt and pack. All I needed was one brown mushroom, totally inedible without its red and white partner. The rest of my inventory consisted of 2 dozen blocks of birch, 20 blocks of oak I hacked from my mineshaft supports, 3 empty metal buckets, 1 bucket of water, a worn shovel, a worn bow, a worn pickaxe, a ton of cobblestone, some gunpowder, some redstone, 3 books on redstone, a bundle of feathers, and enough spider silk to make an army of fishing poles. Too bad there weren't any oceans nearby, I muttered. But right on the heels of the defeatist words, I came to an exultant. There is! Like a crack of lightning, the memory of Food's book passage flashed across my mind. Any body of water, I had read. Any body. What life-saving fact emerged in my first-hand experience with irrigation? Remember the way back when I bored you to death about my story pouring water on the ditch? Remember when I had to point I said how important it would be later on? Well, later on was now. Water makes water, I called to the zombies outside. All I need now is a second cube. They responded, reminding me that there was more water right out there with them. Of course, I'm talking about the little underground stream I had fallen into right after being blown up. I thought I might be sourced, a single cube sprang in the wall just a few paces from the cave. But now, how to get there? I thought about 2 end-round tunnel tactics I had tried before. Both have been risky and neither had ended well, but now, with water so close. With great risk comes great rewards, I called to my undead jailers, hoisted a nearby broken pickaxe. I began hammering away, estimating where the water source was, and I turned sharply to the left. The block fell, no water, just a couple of rotting hands. I yelped as one green fist punched me square in the honker. Thanks, I said, sealing the hole. I don't think zombies can laugh, though those monsters sounded cheery. Clearly, they were following me on the other side of the tunnel. If I'd made another mistake, broke through, and took more damage I couldn't heal from, snap, my own tool broke in my hands. No problem, I called to the zombies, and whipped up a crafting table, then one stone-tipped pickaxe. Perseverance. Turns out I only had one more block to go. Pick, 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 and then whoosh, underground water. Captured in an empty milk pail, I dug out a large basin in the center of the cave. Jumping inside, I poured 2 water cubes against 2 of the corners. As they flowed together, a third cube formed between them. I repeated the process again and again and again. As soon I climbed out of the fully filled pool. And here we go, I said, crafting a new fishing pole. Ugh, taunted one of the zombies. You're right, I hollered back. No reason to think my body of water also means one I made, but, I said, stepping back in the cast out, you should never assume anything. Nothing, not even bubbles on the surface. Patience, I warned my ghoul captors. You'll see. I just need to be patient. And here it was, a little life-saving V of bubbles. Come on, I coaxed, waiting for the V to zigzag toward my hook. A bobber sank and the pole yanked, and a possible salmon flying up into my belt, along with a new lesson. Knowledge, like a seed, needs the right time to bloom. As the day or night or whatever it was wore on, my belt pouches overfilled with fish. My newly crafted furnace filled the cave with delicious smells, and eventually the zombies, unlike my stomach, were the only things left growling. Oh, and just in case you were wondering, yes, it did bother me having to kill to live. But if you go back a few chapters, you'll see, and I quote, pushed to the brink of starvation with no other choices left, compromising the idea in order to save it. Vegetarian to temporary pescatarian. Okay, we cool? Moving on to the next priority, making a bed. Nothing clears the mind more than a good night's sleep. Trying to recall what I read about crafting rule blocks from webs, I tried nesting the rest of my spider twine in the crafting table. Crazy as it sounds, they combined it into several soft, woolly cubes. 3 wood planks later and a bed no different than any I'd made before. Even with a blanket and pillow, it felt as smooth and soft as sheep's wool. And it's going to be okay, I told myself as the wall of my cave faded to black. Tomorrow I'm getting out of here. But tomorrow, as they say, was not just a day away. The next morning, I realized that trying to make a hasty run would probably put me in the same position I was in now, if not worse. I was totally unarmed, with half of my body unarmored, no milk, meant I need 10 times as much food to counter spider poison. And let's not forget, I had no idea where I was going. As bad as I wanted to escape the stuffy, cramped confines of my cave, I needed to repair, restock, and rethink my overall exit strategy. Like it or not, this underground chamber is going to be home for a while. I spent 2 full days catching a school of fish. Once that priority was checked, I turned to next on my list, armor and weapons. Using the last of my worn shovel to dig out the dirt section of the wall, I found a cache of 3 iron cubes. Just the start, I thought, optimistically, and picking them out, I broke through another cave. Whoa, I said, backing up quickly. No mobs came through, and the sounds of their presence. Speaking in, all I could see were small red and white caps dotting the floor. Mushrooms. Figures, I said sourly. All that time catching fish and could have been collecting food right here. But then again, I reminded myself, making fishing hole anywhere means you'll never ever starve again. Problems first, problems. Long story short, I'm not a fan of mushroom stew. Too creamy and bland. But at least I didn't have to kill to eat anymore. See, I care. And this big old mushrooms grow by themselves. Just place one on the stone floor in a dim light and it will make more of itself. So, just not they cleared my conscience, they cleared my calendar, freeing me up to go mining. And mine I did. And on the 9th or 10th day, I found enough iron and coal to forge tools, weapons, and a whole new suit of armor. It was time to get home, but how? I still didn't know where I was going, and the path I had taken before was way too dangerous. I thought about maybe tunneling straight, spiral staircase style. Hopefully, I'd break through enough island, maybe right by moo and sheep. I didn't. I just been close though. Maybe a foot or one of the slopes. Maybe eventually broke through a column of sand. The beach, I thought happily, and shoveled the tan block away, and the one that fell in after that, and the one that fell in after that, and on and on and on, until the seawater eventually washed me back down into the cave. Plan B, I thought, gloomily sealing up the breach. Plan B meant trying the tunnel far enough to the mob-infested passages to hopefully break through another open shaft. That didn't exactly go as planned. On my first try, I broke through an open lava cave. Its walls lined with gold and diamonds. You can't help me now, I sneered at the treasure and tunneled in the other direction. This time, I finally got to what I was looking for, a silent, clear shaft with no mobs anywhere in sight. Even better, the lack of torches told me I'd never been down this way. Home, I breathed, already tasting the sea air. Taking one step of the passageway, though, I turned to my left and saw another minecart. Throwing open the lid, I found some iron ingots, some gunpowder, a loaf of very welcome bread, and most important thing, another book called Navigation. At that moment, I felt the luckiest person ever. Gah! A zombie lurched around the corner, cracking his fist in my face. I staggered back on my half step, took a second blow square on my new shield, and then laid a series of chops in my new iron sword, filling the hall with death smoke, filled with pride and heart with pride. I was back. I was ready. I was facing 3 more coming down the hall. Must peer near the spawner, I thought, blocking the tunnel behind me. Plan B was dead. Time for Plan C, which I didn't have yet. Hopefully, this new book on navigation would help with that, and it did. There are 4 items described in the manual: a map, a compass, signpost, and, of all things, a journal. I couldn't make the map because I didn't need sugarcane for paper. I couldn't make a journal for the same reason. The signposts were easy, though, which they were made of wood, and the compass only needed iron and redstone. Unlike the compass in my world, the needle didn't point north. Instead, the book said it always faced my original spawning point. Not immediately helpful when you consider that it was bottom of the sea, but since it always faced the same direction, it could use the consistency to keep me from getting turned around. Laying the compass ingredients on the crafting table reminded me of how useless redstone had originally been, which in turn reminded me that I still had 3 redstone books in my pack. I still hadn't looked at them since the initial discovery, and even then I only skipped them. Did I miss anything useful? I wondered, now carefully rereading each page. And indeed I did. Rushing and taking all the fancy, cool machinery, skipping whole pages that didn't grab my attention right away. Details make the difference. Book 3, page 5, one simple sentence. Redstone torches can be used in detonation torches for TNT. TNT? The gunpowder. That's what it was for. TNT, which stands for, well, I don't know, but I sure knew what it did. The book didn't say anything about TNT, and it didn't need to know. You don't need to know everything I did underground in the underground month that followed. That's how long I spent down there, learning to craft TNT from gunpowder and sand, then testing in the water-cooled lava cave I found. You don't need to know about the diamonds I mined for a new sword and armor, or the flint I gathered for more arrows, or how I used those arrows to silent raids, sneaking out of the cave and snipe at creepers for their gunpowder. Last but not least, you don't need to hear every detail about the masses of machines I learned how to build and test and weave into my elaborate meticulous plan. All you need to know is one word. I was still going to escape, but not before destroying every spawner and random mob I can find. This wasn't bot-headed revenge anymore. This was cold calculation. This would finally make my island, above and below, completely safe. This was the one word you need to know. The word from my world that isn't nice is sometimes necessary. I was going to bring that world to the door. I was going to war. Chapter 22. The End and the Beginning. I moved silently, or at least as silently as the world would let me, pat, pat, pat with my armored feet, and the occasional pop of a placed signpost. Allowing the compass needle, I headed at what I thought was the direction of the spider's hall. Zzz, and so it begins, I whispered, rounding the corner of the same passage door where I'd been defeated, the one right above the web spinners. Mindful of being ambushed, I quickly sealed up both ends of the shaft with cobblestone and wooden doors. Next, I blocked up the staircase I'd made down in the lower hall. Finally, I snuck right up to the hole of the floor and removed the blocked stone. Two crimson clusters sparkled up at me. Ready to spring. Bath time, I said. Pour the bucket of lava down the hole. In seconds, the liquid fire burned through my attackers, their webs, and the uh, cage spawn flame beneath them. I didn't gloat. I didn't even react. I just scooped up the molten cube, watched the residential lava dissipate, and remembered where there were more arachnid stragglers. None came. I won by first tactical engagement, swiftly, silently, and without so much as a scratch. Moving on to the skeleton spawning chamber, I heard a chorus of clicks well before any of them came into view. Four outside and no doubt more within. They saw me, I saw them. Their bows went up, my shield didn't. It was worth taking a few hours in order to set up my new wonder weapons. And they were called dispensers, and the book described them as a kind of vending machine. They were designed to hold a lot of items, spitting them out when triggered. I guess they were supposed to be labor-serving conveniences, but it was way easy to see them as weaponry. No tools or torches for these dispensers, just loads of deadly arrows. I had placed a tripwire of silk and iron hooks. Think, Thank you, Redstone Books. And a line between the dispensers and the skeletons and stood back and watched the oncoming archers. Dispense with this, I said, laughing at my joke as the relentless shafts hammered like boneheads of the machine guns of my world. The barrage didn't kill them right away, but it didn't have to. My point was to delay and distract. While the skeletons absorbed and overdosed on their own medicine, I tunneled around them and into the back wall of the spawning chamber. I broke through the darkened room and just in time to see first bone bag emerge in the cage flame. Say good night, hot shot, I said with a chuckle, diamond blade flashing. After smashing the spawning cage, I poked my head through the doorway, watched my dispensers claim their last victim. I made sure to go back the way I came, because like fire, booby trapped had no loyalty when then set to work disassembling them. The war was far from over, and both arrows and dispensers still had a lot of work to do. My next trap involved a dispenser and a small, previously unused item called flint and steel. It was a C-shaped piece of iron and a flint-shaped chip that, when struck together, caused a small temporary blaze. I accidentally made one a while back, but I couldn't think of a use. And I did now. When placed in a dispenser and then set a pressure plate, it acted like a rear guard landmine. Remember, in addition to spawners, there are still random patches of darkness that created occasional mob? Just as I was setting my first trap, the grunt of zombie filled the passageway. I looked up to see undead attacker lurching from out of the gloom. I backed up a few steps, not far I risked losing contact. The zombie came on, slow and dumb and completely unaware of the danger. Don't stop, I encouraged. Come and get it. I stepped on the pressure plate, then activated the dispenser, which sparkled a flint striker, which then green cool ablaze. Stirring like a torch, it growled and gurgled toward me. Burn, baby, burn, I chanted, retreating as quickly as it advanced. After a few seconds, I saw the fire wouldn't finish the ghoul. It weakened it, though. I only needed one strong chop. Good enough, I thought, placing one more striker mines in the passageway behind me. And I thought they did the job splendidly. I could hear the cries of burning ghouls echoing through the tunnels. I put you out of your misery soon enough, I called, focusing on my next booby trap. It was this one lacked an imagination, this more made up for lethality. A pressure plate, a trapdoor, and a hole filled with lava. Hey, Blasty, I shouted at a nearby creeper. Over here. Weirdly, the living bomb turned the other direction. No, doofus, I shouted and raised my bow. Here. I shot the creeper in the back, hoping, if you can believe, for a less than lethal kill. The green silent column turned back, locked onto me, and slowly glided forward. Right, I said, backing up at visible detonation range. Here's your target. The creeper swept over the pressure plate, then dropped in the trapdoor, bobbing and burning. It silently surrendered to its fate. Shame, I said, watching the foe disintegrate. I could have really used the gunpowder. I found my way back to the main cavern, especially to the shaft that opened right up to the lava pond. Just as I was setting up a new horror show, I heard a growing cackle. A jackpot. Two witches came from the corner, bottles of who knows what in their hands. Perfect, I called to the approaching villains. You of all mobs deserve that what's coming. And a flick of a lever, I sent a minecart racing down a powered rail, and the combination of wood, gold, and of course redstone sent the automated missile crashing into the oncoming witches. Crackling maniacally, they toppled right off a cliff and right into liquid fire. Who laughing now? I shouted, realizing a second later that in fact they still were. Well, yeah, well, I still get the last laugh. Hopping into a minecart, I stacked a collection of tracks in my hand. Leaning forward just like a boat, I found I was able to make the cart move on its own. Placing new tracks in front of me, I connected them with existing rail lines allowed me to zip along the minecarts like a race car. If I'd been in war, the ride probably would have been fun. Soon enough, I thought, racing through the endless tunnels. Once the whole maze is cleared, I'll build a roller coaster down here. Wouldn't that be cool? Laying track as I went, steering a specific course, I checked off the list of victories. Spiders gone, skeletons gone, random patches of darkness lit, random patches of booby trapped. Just one more, I thought excitedly. One more spawner, and then I've won. Coming to the rest of the base of the zombie spawning chamber, I leapt off the cart and ran like a maniac for the door. Gah, growled the ghoul, poking its head out from the entrance. Say, I commanded, bashing it right inside of my shield. I wanted a trap, not dead. Before I could regroup in another strike, I placed two glass blocks in the opening. Yep, glass? Yep, glass. Not only used to seal up the doorway, but it replaced the entire cobblestone wall with clear cubes. I had something very special planned for my slouching friends. After finishing the first glass wall, I built a second, identical barrier one block behind it, and then filled the space between them with water. Why water, you ask? Because it was the only substance that could absorb the blast of TNT. I hit upon the idea of the first explosive creeper. Remember how it had been blown a hole in the bank of the lagoon? Well, I realized that the blast could only hurt the bank itself, while the shallow underwater blocks were unscathed. I thought I was being so careful, I even tested the water well theory in the cool lava cave, and it worked. After filling this water wall, I placed the stone steps up on top of the spawning chamber ceiling, hollowed out the space above the roof, and filled the space with charges. I thought I was being so careful, running the fuse of redstone dust all the way up to the bottom. I armed the last step with a simple wooden button. How poetically fitting that the button was the first item I'd ever crafted, things that were really coming full circle. You were my first threat, I sneered at the zombies, and now you'll be the last. A dim, hidden memory took shape as I learned to push the button. Some kind of expression through another button, another great explosion. Strangely enough, the image was mushroom cloud crystallized in my mind. Bing bang boom, I said, pressed all the small wooden square, and then the world ended. Or at least that's what it felt like with every ear-splitting concussion blew up the room, the zombies and the torches that lit my victory. Yeehaw! I started to yell, suddenly smothered in deluge of water. The top level glass wall must have shattered, I thought, and backed up to get away. Only I couldn't back up. Someone was blocking my escape. I turned to see gravel. An entire wall of the stuff had fallen behind me. Looked up to see how far the barrier reached, and I saw there was water really coming from. My heart froze. I made a deadly mistake. There's no way of knowing how close the ocean floor was to me. I'd assume it was a mountain of rock. Never assume anything. The blast did not rip the floor wide open, but it also reached a massive gravel deposit behind me. Trapped, drowning. There's no place to go up. So far, so slow. Cold, dark, crack. Shooting pains, air-starved muscles. Closer, but still so far away. My body ached, my lungs burned. Swim, crack. Mouth open and choked scream, just like before, the beginning and the end. Crack. Reach the glow, grabbing for breath, for life. Crack. The end is the beginning. Crack. I understand now. I get it.
It's sad to say, but I guess it ends on a cliffhanger, but it doesn't really. There's more to the story, but I gotta end it where it goes. because oh no, actually no, wait, this is the final book page. Oh, never mind. Today we read pages 244 to 266. Chapters 21 to 22, but we're going to quickly move on to chapter, well, no chapter, just the epilogue.
Epilogue. I understand now was what I coughed at the moo. Half dead, splashing on the surface, I pulled myself painfully to shore at the feet of my loyal friend. I understand everything, I repeated, in answer for knowing. About time, too. About time, moo, gulping down breaths. I limped sluggishly told her. It's all coming together, I told her. The two of us walking in the woods when I was down there drowning in the deep. I kept thinking about how everything was coming full circle, about endings, about beginnings, how they're one and the same. By this point, I made over a sheep family grazing. Everybody gather around, I announced. I got something important to say. Of course, they didn't listen, but they didn't stop me talking. Keep going, I began. It was the first lesson I learned here was how to last. Took a moment to let my words sink in. I have accepted that I am in the end of one adventure and the beginning of another. I have to keep going. I've got to leave the island. Before they could say anything, before they could pretend not to care and turn away to eat, I added, no, hear me out. Like I said, I understand now. In fact, I've understood for quite a while. This is the gnawing feeling I had since finishing the second house. That's why I've been acting so crazy since then. I didn't want to admit the scary truth. Which is, I answered, that after working so hard to create a safe space to answer the really big questions, I realized that the answers to those questions can't be found in a safe space. I gestured out the horizon. They're out there in the unknown. Bah, said Rainey, and the sheep family all looked at me. Good question. Hopefully there's more land, more people. Hopefully I'll be able to find my way home. Moo said a lost, sad moo, and that's when tears came. No, you're right, I said, a lump in my throat. This is my home too, and I'll carry its memories in my heart. Because even if I don't want answers searching for, the searching that really matters. There it was, the ultimate lesson in this world. I struggled so hard to find the goal without realizing the goal is a struggle. It was to make me stronger, smarter, and better. Growth doesn't come from a comfort zone, it's from leaving it. A week later, I packed up everything I needed for a long voyage: food, tools, a compass, and yet to be filled map. I made sure the garden was well tended and that the house would be ready to accept a new visitor. That visitor, as you well know, is you. I hope you find my house comfortable, and if you want to build a basement music studio, I've left you the book along with all the other manuals. In my bedroom, this book you're reading is the last item of the last manual I found, a combination of sugar paper, leather from Moo's late partner, and ink from the squid I killed my way back, and I couldn't find the use for figures. These will all be the last words I write before walking down the hill to my boat, before saying goodbye to my beloved friends. Please treat them well. Friends keep you sane. I don't know what's waiting for them to be on the horizon, but now I'm ready for a bigger world. Maybe I'll meet the authors of the book I've found. Maybe they'll be castaways like me. Maybe they'll intentionally leave those books to help future travelers on their journeys. The way I'm leaving this book for you. I hope you've learned. I hope that I've learned to help you find your way. Most of all, I hope you learn that in the world of mines and crafting, the important things you can craft is you. And finally, for the final section, what I've learned from the world of Minecraft. Keep going, never give 1. Keep going, never give up. 2. Panic drowns thought. 3. Don't assume anything. 4. Think before you act. 5. Details make the difference. 6. Just because the rules don't make sense to you doesn't mean that they don't make sense. 7. Figure out the rules turns them from enemies to friends. 8. Be grateful for what you have. 9. It's not wisdom that counts, but wisdom under pressure. 10. Too much confidence can be dangerous as having none at all. 11. Take life in steps. 12. Friends keep you sane. 13. Conserve your resources. 14. Tantrums never help. 15. Nothing clears the mind like sleep. 16. When looking for solutions, beating yourself up isn't one of them. 17. Don't dwell on mistakes. Learn from them. 18. Great risk can come from great rewards. 19. Fear can be conquered. Anxiety must be endured. 20. Courage is a full-time job. 21. When the world changes, you've got to change with it. 22. Always be aware of your surroundings. 23. There's nothing wrong with a careful curiosity. 24. Take care of your environment so it can take care of you. 25. Just because someone looks like you doesn't automatically make them a friend. 26. Just because someone doesn't look like you doesn't automatically make them an enemy. 27. Everything comes at a price, especially if that price is your conscience. 28. It's not failure that matters, it's how you recover. 29. When you're trying to tell yourself something, listen. 30. Questions don't stay put. You can't just walk away from them. 31. Never put off your boring but important chores. 32. Sometimes you have to compromise an ideal in order to save it. 33. Books make the world bigger. 34. Revenge hurts only you. 35. Knowledge, like a seed, needs the right time to bloom. And 36. Growth doesn't come from a comfort zone. but from leaving it. And that is the end of Minecraft The Island. Honestly, it is another fantastic book that I genuinely would recommend to a lot of different people. If I knew people who knew who knew how to read like me. And it's just a fantastic book, I think, to end the year off. Because that's what this really is this is the book that ends the year. I had a lot of other books I had planned. I have a lot of books I have planned for next year. It's just when it came to this book, it was like choosing, right? It was like this was originally going to be the book I read in, I think it was April. Yeah, April. Before I read the other book, whatever other book it was. But this book just felt right to end it off. So I'm going to leave that for the video that comes out tomorrow, as well as the full reading of the book, where I do a scoreboard of every book I've read for the year. But yeah, hope you guys have a fantastic, wonderful day. People like, be fishy, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed Minecraft The Island as much as I did. I'll see you guys next time for another fun reading of a new book. Bye-bye!